This week on Video Game Hub, new head of the Xbox division, free games on PlayStation Plus and games with gold, and Facebook buys Oculus, all that right now. So let's get this party moving with our third story of the week this week, and that is that we now know the games for PlayStation Plus and games with gold that we're going to get for free. So if you sign up for either of these premium services through Microsoft and Sony, you're going to get some free games, and you're going to get some pretty decent games this month. So we'll start it off over on the PlayStation side with PlayStation Plus. You are going to get Mercenary Kings on the PlayStation 4, which is a 2D action game that looks quite good. It's not a big budget game, but it looks like something that's pretty cool, and if you own a PS4 and you're looking for something to play and you don't want to go out and spend money, boom, there you go. Moving down to the PlayStation 3, we have Batman Arkham City, which if you haven't played is a very good game, and it's a perfect time to play it because we have Arkham Knight coming later this year. We also have Stealth Inc., A Clone in the Dark, and Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, which is a little bit smaller games, but they both look pretty solid. Over on the Vita, we have Velocity Ultra and Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate HD, which again, not big games. They're a little smaller in terms of scope and scale, but they're free with your PlayStation Plus subscription. Now, over on the Xbox 360 side, there is a little more room to complain because you're going to be getting Hitman Absolution and Deadlight. Both of these are decent enough video games. Hitman Absolution was not nearly as well received as some of the other Hitman games from the past, but still solid. Deadlight, again, another solid 2D zombie game. And taken on face value, they both look like a pretty good deal, but when you compare that to the PlayStation Plus, it's no comparison. And the biggest problem is that they still have not done any Xbox One games with gold freebies. Phil Spencer, who we're going to actually talk about a little later in this episode, says that they are trying to match what customers want. Well, it's quite simple. What customers want is free games. The system is designed to give customers free games. They built the system advertising that they're going to be giving free games, and so far they have not given very much in the way of free games at all. None for Xbox One. Xbox 360 is getting some pretty solid stuff, but if you go out and spend $500 on an Xbox One and you see that every month over on the PlayStation 4 they're getting free games, the Xbox One's getting none, Microsoft needs to step that up, and we need to see a free game for games with gold in May, or there's going to be a lot of upset gamers. And with the way things are going for Microsoft right now, the last thing that they want is more upset gamers. And with that, we are going to move on to the second biggest story of the week this week, and that is that Phil Spencer is now the head of the Xbox division at Microsoft. I told you before that we were going to talk about Phil Spencer again, and alas, here we are. He was chief of Microsoft Studios, but he has now been stepped up to the head of the entire Xbox division, which also includes Xbox Live, Xbox Music, and Xbox Video. So he definitely has a lot of roles to fill. Now this is actually very good news for gamers because Phil Spencer has been at Microsoft for over 25 years, and he's been involved in all kinds of projects going all the way back to Microsoft and Carta. So this is actually some good news for Microsoft because it's a face that gamers are happy to see in charge. He's made some solid quotes posting that he's going to be doing the right thing for the Microsoft Games division, and that is exactly what we all want to see. Because there's really nothing wrong with the Xbox One as a console. It's actually a perfectly competent video game console. The problem with the Xbox One is their message and the announcements they made and then backpedaling on those announcements. So having Phil Spencer in charge, taking over from Mark Whitten, could definitely be a good thing for the company going forward. Phil Spencer taking over was first announced in a blog post on Xbox's website. He made a lot of smart statements in it, talking about the plans for the future and what kind of directions they plan on taking the Xbox brand, which is exactly what we needed to hear because Microsoft is in kind of a weird state. He kind of rounds off his post by saying the following. This past year has been a growth experience both for me and for the entire Xbox team. We've taken feedback, made our products better, and renewed our focus on what is most important, our customer. Our mission is to build a world-class team, work hard to meet the high expectations of a passionate fan base, create the best games and entertainment, and drive technical innovation. As we continue forward, this renewed focus and mission will be a foundational part for how I lead the Xbox program. So he's definitely saying all the right things and he's making the right statements for where they plan on going with the Xbox division. It's a huge part of Microsoft's business, and of course it holds a special place in the hearts of gamers, especially those Xbox fanboys who are, all over the internet bad-mouthing the PlayStation 4. So it's good to see that he has the right intentions, and hopefully everything works out in the end and he takes Microsoft back in the direction that it was during the Xbox 360 generation. Alright guys, before we move on to the #1 story this week, it's time for the t-shirt contest. Last week's winner is Koshi. So Koshi, you know how to get in contact with me. Shoot me an email, we'll get you that free t-shirt. And now let's take a look at this week's image. As you can see, it is playing right now. And I want you to leave a comment either here on MakeUseOf or on YouTube. You can pick, I don't care which one. I will find your comments either way and tell me what game this image is from, and you could win a t-shirt. We'll put your names into a randomizer. The name that comes out gets the shirt. Simple as that. So leave a comment on YouTube or MakeUseOf, and the shirt could be yours. Our number one story this week is a bit of a no-brainer, and that is that Facebook has purchased Oculus for a whopping $2 billion. Now, only $400 million of that is in cash. The other $1.6 billion is in stock options, but that is still an obscene amount of money and actually double what Facebook paid for Instagram. So it's clear that Facebook has an idea that VR is going to be the future. Now, I've made my feelings on VR known on this show before. We don't need to go into that again, but there is one thing that I need to say about this, and that is that John Carmack now works for Facebook. It's kind of a weird thing to swallow. You know, John Carmack from id, the guy who's the father of the first-person shooter, one of the greatest programmers in the history of video games, works for Facebook now. Now, he did finally break his silence and make a statement on that, where he said that he thought that at some point Oculus was going to need a partner, someone with big money, because he has big plans for the hardware in the first place. But he did not think it would be this soon, and he did not think it would be Facebook. But according to a tweet that he put out, it sounds like he's kind of business as usual. He's going about doing his thing. Of course, the internet is up in arms. Everybody's angry about it. Everybody thinks that this means the end of VR. But of course, Sony just announced Project Morpheus. So even if it is the end of Oculus, it's certainly not the end of VR, because Sony's not going to just say, well, oh, Facebook bought Oculus now, I guess we're done, because they've already invested money in it. So that's going to happen, hopefully. Down the road, we're going to see that. Either way, regardless of what happens to Oculus, there's clearly an interest in VR, and it's going to keep going whether or not Facebook runs Oculus into the ground. Or maybe Facebook just sits back quietly and lets Oculus do its thing. They keep feeding money into them that Oculus wouldn't have otherwise, and we end up with a better product. It's way too soon for everyone to start jumping to conclusions and getting all angry about it. For all we know, this could make the product better. We'll just have to wait and see. But for the time being, I say congratulations to Oculus. They came up with a good idea, they made the idea, and they made a whole lot of money on the idea. It's good for them. And on that note, I think it is time to bring this episode of Video Game Hub to a close, unfortunately. But fear not, because if you want more from MakeUseOf, you can look right over here and you will see a video of me making a fool of myself playing a game called Turbo Dismount, which is actually a lot of fun, but a really dumb game. Right under me over here, you're going to see last week's episode of Video Game Hub, which is still filled with some really cool bits of news that you're going to want to know about. And over here is a button to subscribe. Make sure to click that so that you never miss another episode of Video Game Hub, that you don't miss out on the product reviews and all the other cool stuff we put out at MakeUseOf, because that's what we're all about, making cool stuff for you guys. So click that subscribe button, and hey, if you enjoyed this episode of Video Game Hub, make sure to leave a like, because it helps me out a lot, and I would appreciate it. And on that note, we will see you all next week.